Today I'm going to give you an update from my third braces adjustment appointment. I don't want to put you off. If I had been making this video 3 days ago, it would have gone a completely different way. The reason being, after my braces adjustment appointment, my teeth started to hurt. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Having braces as an adult is painful. So here's the story of my latest braces adjustment appointment. In my previous video, I said that I was never going to go to another braces adjustment appointment without taking painkillers first. And that was the plan. I had my painkillers next to me on the desk. I looked at the time and I realized that I was running late. I hadn't factored in the commute time to actually get to the orthodontist office. So I slammed my laptop shut, I grabbed my painkillers, chucked a couple of tablets in my mouth, washed them down with water, and ran out the door. Luckily, I got to the orthodontist smack bang on time. One thing that was starting to happen a couple of days before this orthodontist appointment, I was starting to get a little bit of pain under my jawbone here. I was a little bit worried about this. So it's the first thing that I told my orthodontist about. And she took a look in my mouth and she realized that the gum around my back tooth was a little bit inflamed, but the wire between the last bracket and the next molar along, it has to traverse a gap. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know about the gap at the back there. But this wire and the back bracket were really irritating my inner cheek here. And that back bracket had basically embedded itself into my cheek and carved itself out a nice little comfortable hole. That sounds so gross, but it was. It was also the source of the pain and the inflammation which was causing the pain under my jaw here. And when my orthodontist took a look, she made the decision to remove the bracket off that back tooth. She literally clipped it off and it came off so easily. And she said that the next arch wire would end on this last molar here. It wouldn't traverse the gap and be attached to that back tooth. I don't know how that's going to affect my treatment, whether it's going to affect any of the alignment of the teeth at the bottom. I don't know, but my orthodontist obviously knows best. And in hindsight, I'm really pleased that she did that. The orthodontist assistant actually got in there with a polisher and polished all of the glue that was on the outside of that tooth off. So the edge of that tooth is now nice and smooth. With a few saltwater rinses, that little bit of inflammation has completely cleared up. And so it was definitely the right thing to do. So my orthodontist again briefed the orthodontist assistant, and the orthodontist assistant removed all of the ligatures and the wire, both at the top and at the bottom. And remember when I said I'd popped those painkillers? I just didn't do it early enough this time. And that meant that the painkillers hadn't really started to take the full effect. And this was a problem. I could feel all the little elastics being taken off every single tooth. And if you recall from my previous videos, I also had wire ligatures that were put on 4 of the bottom teeth and 2 of my top teeth, the 2 front ones. And getting these off really hurt. The orthodontist assistant would untwist the wire ligatures to get a little bit of purchase and then get in there with a set of wire cutters and then cut the ligature and then pull it out. All well and good for most of the wire ligatures except for one. This little one here at the bottom. Oh my God. I thought she was ripping my tooth out of my jaw. It hurt so much. So once the wires came out, the orthodontist came back and had a good look at my teeth. And she instructed the orthodontist assistant to reapply some wire ligatures to my teeth, except this time I needed 8 wire ligatures across the bottom teeth and 6 wire ligatures across the top teeth. And so I asked the orthodontist, why am I needing these wire ligatures? And she said it's because I have adult teeth and they're just a little bit harder to move. So that's one thing, if you're going to go and get adult braces, that you need to be aware of. Your teeth are going to be harder to move. You might potentially have some stubborn teeth like I do, particularly the ones across the bottom here, that won't be easy to move. And so you'll need to be prepared for some extra length in braces. In my case, it's going to be an extra length in braces, but also for having these wire ligatures attached to your brackets. This time around, I don't have a new arch wire. The same wire was reused, both on the top and at the bottom. The one at the bottom obviously has been cut shorter so that it's not spanning the gap between my last two teeth. The downside of having that wire cut off here and it not extending to the back tooth is it is poking right into my cheek. So on this tooth, I have a big blob of orthodontic wax, and I think it's just going to be permanently positioned on that tooth. The top wire was given a quick clean and reinserted through the back brackets and prodded and poked into position. And then the orthodontic assistant started to apply the metal wire ligatures. And yes, this hurt. She needed to apply some real force to get purchase and twist the wire ligatures really tightly against each bracket so that it would be really firmly gripping each of my teeth. So on my upper teeth, I have wire ligatures on the front teeth, the lateral incisors, and the canine teeth. And then I had the wire ligatures attached around 8 of the teeth on the bottom jaw. So that is pretty much all of the teeth across the bottom here. As the little ligatures were getting tightened, I could start to feel the pressure on my teeth. It wasn't exactly painful, but it was unpleasant. And once the wire ligatures went on, we weren't finished yet. Each of my teeth then got the clear elastics applied around each of the brackets. They had to be stretched, positioned over, and popped on. And believe me, this was painful. So I have wire ligatures, and on top of those, I have the clear elastic ligatures. So I am ligatured up, and oh boy. Within a couple of hours of leaving the orthodontist's office, I started to feel a little bit of pain, specifically in my lateral incisors on my upper jaw. I have been very smug in my previous videos saying that I wasn't feeling much pain with having the braces. It really hurt this time. In fact, 24 hours after my braces adjustment appointment, I wanted to rip my braces out of my mouth. And this is another reason why I am so glad that I actually got braces instead of getting Invisalign. Because if I had had Invisalign, I would have pulled those things out of my mouth and I would have thrown them away. But because the braces are fixed, I could do no such thing. But with the pain came the reassurance that my teeth are actually moving. And you know what they say? No pain, no gain. I didn't want to take painkillers because the only ones I actually have in the house are ibuprofen. Now, ibuprofen reduces inflammation, and it's actually the inflammation which allows your teeth to move in your jawbone. So for me, taking ibuprofen sounded a little counterintuitive. I didn't want to stop my teeth moving. I had suffered through that adjustment appointment, and I was going to make sure those teeth get the best opportunity that they can to move in the right position as soon as possible. 2 days of pain, 2 days of not being able to eat anything solid. 2 days later, no pain. No pain at all. I'm back to being my smug self. Another tip that I have for you, when you're preparing for your braces adjustment appointment, make sure that you have soft food available so that you can actually eat it afterwards. Things like soups or yogurts or smoothies. And also make sure it's easy to make. The last thing you're going to want to do when you're in pain and you're hungry is to cook a meal. So have something convenient. What I did was I cooked some soups and I put them in the freezer so that I have these ready-made, easy to heat up soups. And they're tasty too. Another important factor, make sure that whatever you have is tasty. If it's mashed potatoes, put some cheese on it. Put some garlic in it, put some butter in it, a bit of salt, because there's nothing worse if you're hungry and your teeth are hurting than eating something that is bland and horrible. And like I said at the beginning, if I'd made this video 3 days ago, I might be giving you a completely different message. I don't want to put you off. If you're thinking about getting adult braces, yes, it is going to hurt. They're only painful for a couple of days around the time when you get your braces adjusted. I'm still glad I got the fixed braces. Even though they're painful, stick with it. It's going to be so worth it once it's done. That's what I'm telling myself anyway.